Broad industry-wide paradigm shift progress during 2021 and benchmarks, milestones, and goals for 2022. Paradoxically, 2021 North American hemp indoor and outdoor acreage plummeted just as emerging research suggests CBD and the cannabis bioactive entourage may have a key part of the complementary toolbox to treat and prevent COVID, and also constitute an anti-aging mainstream food supplement. Economic models of DIY, craft, corporate, and agri-food are converging into an integrated distributed global model. Regulatory goals include an MDR and RDA for CBD and other cannabis bioactive. Billions in investment capital pouring into the emerging anti-aging meta industry constitute the pull the cannabis and hemp industry needs to create long-term sustainable growth, as 7.8 billion customers have unmet needs we can fill. CTO and CEO of Lifespan Research Incorporated.
Greetings from Regina, Saskatoon, and Beaubrier, Saskatchewan on the prairies here in Western Canada, to Jackie Ong, who first invited me to speak at CISW 2020, and Daniel Foxman, who prior to that brought me to Bangkok for the Silk Legal Conference, where much of your cannabis industry renewal began in early 2020. Thank you to everyone behind the organizing of the 2021 conference for your consolidation of speakers and locations over conference format. Thank you to the sponsors who provide resources to support the conference. Greetings to the viewers from around the world, and in the future, those who visit via the YouTube archive. The developing aspects of the cannabis, marijuana, and hemp reopen in the post-COVID world, so that the Thai medical tourism industry can again deliver products and services to the global customer base. In the months following my 2020 presentation, I received intense scrutiny by scientists, industry, commercial players, business entities, regulators, and policymakers. I opened several discussion topics in 2020. And today I return to elaborate further on the progress of shifting of paradigms. Many independent economic models are interacting, and strategic alliances locally, nationally, and globally are being pursued in both competitive and collaborative manner. There's a diverse network of players: do-it-yourself or home cultivators, craft small to medium enterprise grower to retail micro supply chains, big box public traded corporate cannabis, and lastly, but as I will elaborate, possibly the most significant player, namely farm commodity centric agri-food, cannabis, and hemp. During 2021, each segment has had different challenges and successes. The do-it-yourself folks, many of whom are legacy pre-legalization industry folks, whose skills of cultivation, harvest, and conversion into consumables include every kind of recreational medical products and every kind of food and beverage, now enjoy acceptance as simply exercising their right to self-manage the physical and mental wellness of their own and friends and families' bodies. The craft or small or medium enterprise community has developed a loyal customer base who expect a diverse library of well-defined, high-quality, curated products. Craft buyers tend to have less resistance to high price points as long as product characteristics are exactly as they want and the premium quality is always consistent. The big box folks have never quite figured out how to emulate or successfully replace them with an integrated big box industry model. Corporate cannabis has struggled, as greenhouse spaces have undergone massive downsizing and asset liquidations of new and never used equipment and fully operational supply chains, many times at 50% or less of the purchase cost throughout 2021. Both Canada and the United States have reduced their industrial hemp acreage by 40 to 60% over the last 24 months. Company consolidation is predicted to continue into 2022, when experts suggest that 50% of Canada's 383 licensed cannabis producers will either go bankrupt or sell their assets to a big box player or undergo asset consolidation and restructuring and bundling of multiple small licensed producers into conglomerates by receiver manager, market maker, promoters. Attempts at shifting from indoor to outdoor large-scale cultivation are ongoing. Canada, unlike Washington and Oregon, does not have exclusion or isolation zones around cultivation sites to prevent cross-pollination between single-sexed fields and outdoor industrial hemp farm fields. In the past, large marijuana licensed producer greenhouses have gone to seed due to cross-pollination from outdoor fields of, say, 40 acres of industrial hemp just a mile down the road. Massive outsourcing of raw material sources and primary processing first shifted to the U.S. as the USA CBD was 12 to 25% versus the average of 1 to 3% in the current Canadian hemp varieties. Then over to very low cost, low price African, South American, East Asian, and Northern European suppliers where labor is much cheaper and cropping can go on outdoors up to 365 days a year. To add insult to injury, regulators from Health Canada and the United States and federal states seem to be too conflicted and unwilling to consider the economics and population health aspects of interpreting law and regulation, and continue to be arbiters of chaos for the cannabis and hemp industries. Time and money is squandered employing lawyers and duking it out with regulators to determine if certain permits or procedures are or are not required. This commercial disruption from the standpoint of the industry is inexcusable from the health and wellness consumer perspective. It's a non-tariff commercial barrier to industry players who refuse to enter the supply chain so long as regulatory uncertainty of any sort exists. The fear of liability can kill an industry transitioning from chaotic dysfunction to a smoothly functioning consumer-centric network of collaborative supply chains. Over the last 3 years, licensed producers of cannabis in Canada have sent to destruction 500 tons of valuable product. Such a huge waste. On top of this, producers informally demote large quantities of their production into waste destined for the landfills. This is inexcusable waste of resources and one of the contributors to the chaos parts of the industry are now in. There should be a discussion as to how to rework materials, as this routinely happens in HACCP plans, hazard analysis critical control point plans in the food industry, which perhaps are being destroyed because they were, for example, produced by regulators found to be not listed on a production license. LPs have lost licensing, cash flow, valuable personnel, and risk bankruptcy as a result. And the rogue material was indeed not usually unsafe, or neither was it unsaleable, but may have been destroyed for only one reason, the lack of regulatory compliance. Here's an example of how regulatory interference in value-added agriculture plus licensed producer monopoly to set supply chain pricing has destroyed the agricultural farm gate value of hemp in 2021 in Canada. I recently bought 450 of these 1,250 pound large round hemp bales, 255 tons on an auction sale for under $900 or $3.50 per Canadian per ton in total, including auction company fees. And the seller netted under $600 for hemp that cost over $50,000 or $200 a ton to produce. I'm going to help this particular seller break even once we process and sell the derivatives as Canterpene Bioderivatives Technology, which we term CBD-T. In a free market, arm's length world, this sort of thing has been happening to Canadian hemp farmers for the last 2 years. I'm now able to document this catastrophic situation for the whole world to see. Unlike others, though, I do have a solution to this otherwise seemingly insoluble problem. We, like many others, have, due to COVID, slowed down new product development and retail innovation in 2021. Large food manufacturers had to freeze new product introductions in order to save their core business viability. During 2022, this will ramp back up again. Many times, what we describe as new innovative things are merely a resurrection of old things that are repurposed and combined with other old ideas, plus that little spark of novelty which makes the result appear as some genius new invention. Let me describe one such innovation as an example. In 2022, we expect to roll out, in addition to online marketing, which is generally accepted as the preferred way to market anything, a direct-to-consumer mobile store configuration sales model. The full-service food truck of bygone eras, combined with custom on-site formulation made to order, on-demand model, provides the lean and agile alternative to fixed location stores and enables service locations to match customer numbers and locations, and provides convenience to customers who get product when and where they most desire them. Essentially, you pop up where people and events likely to bring customers are predicted to exist. You analyze data on sociographics and demographics of past sales to increase the likelihood of sales to people who are influencers, who will after the fact refer your products to others who will seek to purchase online. Search engine optimization and Google AdWords have their strengths, but real-world contact is not to be written off as they're quite complementary. As an example, you will see offshore locations where street vendors live and die by applying all of the above practices. We can learn from observing old things that continue to be viable. Who says you cannot slip in a 21st century food printer to custom compound at point of sale, eh? Now, here is the irony or conundrum of the industry. The destroyed tonnage and acreage never seeded over the last 3 years could have gone a long way to solving the trillion-dollar global health pandemic, which we are now struggling to recover from. Just remember, at the CISW 2020 plenary session, when I made the wild statement about cannabis and hemp bioactives preventing and treating COVID-19, 18 months ago, researchers already were demonstrating in labs that some factor to block COVID, the family of viruses, attachment to the ACE2 receptors, and how that pointed to a huge health benefit potential. My decades of being a citizen scientist told me that this was a for real thing. Since then, additional research indicates a far greater broad utility for our canterpene bioprocessed hemp derivative as part of a whole plant-based dietary solution. The paper title, Cannabidiol Inhibits SARS-CoV-2 Replication and Promotes the Host Innate Immune Response, ought to make your hair stand on end when you realize we knew about this over a year ago and suspected it long before that. Yes, creating a standard of evidence is based on linking numerous papers, each with a piece of evidence that hemp and cannabis frontline cannabinoids combined with other bioactive entourage, if consumed in sufficient quantity, may not be a bulletproof single magic bullet COVID or post-COVID treatment or cure, but the body of knowledge I add to this discussion indicates that the worst end result would be spending too much money because you accidentally chose a slightly less efficacious chemistry and get measurable, but maybe some suboptimal results. It's becoming the opinion of experts that consumption of some kind of cannabis and hemp broad spectrum material will do absolutely no harm, and in some cases may differentiate between perfect health and a funeral. As a citizen scientist, my area of interest is the science and technology underlying the biggest single long-term emerging trend. Anti-aging has been my passion for almost 50 years. Pioneers in this industry like Aubrey de Grey and Ray Kurzweil were mocked 15 years or so ago as fools or charlatans, but guess what? In 2021, Jeff Bezos put $270 million into lifespan extension venture to increase a targeted normal youthful lifespan to 120 years. Alex Zabaronkov of In Silico Medicine this year raised $230 million from 11 sophisticated investors to use artificial intelligence to design novel anti-aging molecules. During 2021, over $1 billion in new capital has lined up behind the anti-aging theme. Anti-aging is less than 5 years away, in my opinion, from being a multi-trillion-dollar a year global industry. What is totally amazing, though, is that several of the formulations containing hemp bioactives are proving to positively affect more than one driver of this aging process. So today I announced two globally funded initiatives. Project 1, Canterpene as a deregulated food ingredient. In Canada, we recognize that Health Canada is of the opinion that they can arbitrarily determine if a hemp derivative will be regulated as an industrial hemp regulated or Cannabis Act regulated product. The proper agencies, however, to regulate all industrial hemp bioactives should most properly be the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA, the Natural Health Products Directorate, NHPD, and Agriculture Canada. Health Canada must, if they do not already understand, by properly interpreting current law and regulations, be directed by ministerial action to be relegated to ensure that only crop greater than 0.3% THC and the derivatives of such crops may be governed by the Cannabis Act and C45, and an industrial hemp and its derivatives would be ultra-virus or outside the scope of C45 and the Cannabis Act and the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, or the CDSA. The technology I revealed at CISW 2020 is a method or combination of methods to mask all cannabinoids so they test zero in regulatory tests. Health Canada, as you saw above, inspected and sampled our products on location in 2021, April of this year, and discovered that indeed we did this within the scope of industrial hemp, agriculture, and food processing practices. Health Canada seeks to this very day to use all legal means available to it to know our trade secrets while we still keep them proprietary as best we can. Our process enabled CBD, human and pet canterpene products, such as embodied in kombucha or ice cream or fresh and prepared meats, to name but a few, would be retailed and are retailed in ordinary grocery and feed stores. This is how 700,000 acres of crop in Canada can be put through supply chains to fulfill the anti-aging and lifespan extension unmet needs of 36 million Canadians. A fully funded $1 million budget Lifespan Research Inc. directed project can also deliver outreach to other countries with similar industry challenges as Canada during a 1 to 2 year project term. The goals of optimizing citizen wellness, maintaining supply chain economic viability, and universal affordability are then achievable. So Project 2, or I call it the killer app, is Canterpene as a component of anti-aging products with a similar $1 million budget and term as Project 1. To securely connect the chemistry of hemp bioactives to the cornucopia of formulations which are efficacious to positively affect one or more of the 9 drivers of aging towards extended youth and longevity. As Professor Parntip Purpanpang, Dean of Regenerative and Anti-Aging Medicine at Rangsit University, might find interesting, would be the design of formulations required to support medical tourism and enable rapid mass commercialization for entire populations cradle to grave. This is about integrating hemp and cannabis into customizable wellness formulations. Lifespan Research has designed what we call mitocanterpene, mitochondrial activated canterpene, as a prototype to demonstrate how this can be done. Objective 2, supporting paper I cited, describes how COVID promotes a pro-senolytic, pro-aging, systemic, post-infection state of biology. So this is one of the aspects of what we call post-COVID. In ordinary language, COVID-19 infection makes you grow older and more decrepit faster, to varying degrees depending upon your susceptibility. The critical phase has primarily focused on the battle to prevent death or long-term disability from this evolving organism. Anti-aging science, though, digs deeper to understand how COVID and other forms of aging promoters drive the 9 main pillars or categories or processes which make death before 125 age a virtual certainty. Personalized, elegantly simple, proprietary anti-aging protocols are the missing link, and cannabis and hemp bioactives, if properly designed and combined, represent the ticket for hemp to join the industry that 7.8 billion people integrate into their multidisciplinary, what we term longevity escape velocity programs. So here's one of our operations at the farm in Saskatchewan. From this humble agricultural crop will emerge novel anti-aging formulations such as mitocantropine, which, if you would like to know, is composed of reduced fermented hemp fermentate, plus piracetam, plus acetyl L-carnitine, plus vitamin C, plus stevia. The first of many possible anti-aging formulations embodying the bioactivity of the humble hemp plant, rebranded as Canterpene, Canadian source of terpenes and flavonoids. 63 years ago, at age 3, I became an anti-aging enthusiast. Now I'm 66, and so I'm a prime candidate for all of my own creations. We live in the emerging era of regenerative rebirth, a wonderful, truly wonderful time to be alive. Live long and prosper, and thank you for opening your mind to the possibilities of a world which embraces hemp for all of its attributes. Thank you very much.